trying to think of what to do for a new video, and I've decided that I'm going to go ahead and do a painting here and not talk about the painting, but instead I've had a number of student artists or burgeoning artists and people in general have asked me over the years what's it take to become a successful artist. That's a very tricky question to answer directly, because everybody's path is different. And the first thing you have to do is determine, is success to you financial success? Is that how you would define it? Is it winning awards at shows? Is it just self-fulfillment of doing paintings for you and your family? Or just a private pursuit? So basically you have the interest of a monetary reward, selling a painting, doing some shows and getting awards, and maybe a benefit of selling a painting. Is it joining the various societies for oil painters, acrylic painters, pastelists, watercolorists? What does success mean for you? A lot of it's going to depend on what your resources are. And by resources, I mean, are you fortunate enough to have a spouse that can provide you financial means to pursue your career? Or do you have a family to raise? You got financial obligations you have to be concerned with. All of those things are going to influence what you're going to be able to do, or how you're going to be able to go about it. What I'm painting here, the subject matter is Mount Abram, below which sits Uray, Colorado, where my studio is. I'm in Montrose right now at the Montrose studio. So getting back to what you're going to paint, or how your career is going to develop. Once you decide what you want out of it, and maybe you don't even want a career, maybe you just want some skills to have fun with, and that's perfectly fine. My path has been erratic, kind of thrust into the idea. I've been painting and had an interest for a long time, but I never considered the idea of making a living from it. And I was cowboying at the time and kind of having fun doing that. But then I hurt my back, and the doctor said, well, you can't do this anymore. What else can you do? And I said, well, I can paint pictures. And she said, okay, now is maybe a good time for a career change. So that's how my path developed, how I got started painting for a living. And there's more to that story, but that's the essence of it. I will say that once you figure out what you want out of an art career, then you chart a path, a course, establish a course, how to get there. And then you follow a map. You do what it takes. And of course, if you got a family and kids, financial responsibilities, it's going to be different than somebody who doesn't. And I think, I don't want to say it's easier if you don't have those encumbrances, but the way you're going to go about it is just going to be different. You might have to have a day job, so to speak. And that's, there's nothing wrong with that. The artists, the number of artists that are truly making 100% of their income from painting, it's a very small number of percentages. And so don't feel bad. The majority of artists have a secondary income, if you will, or have a primary income, and painting is their secondary income. But rather than be focused on the idea of an income, if you're more interested in the idea of just obtaining recognition through some shows, I was going to say there's a lot of inspiration from artists who've done that. Dean Mitchell, watercolors. He's got a phenomenal story. And you can research artists, what worked for them, what their circumstances were at the time, what kind of backing did they get, if any, family support, if any. It has all made a difference. But the biggest thing, the most important thing for you to pay attention to and consider and realize is your chances of success, and whatever that definition of success is for you, is all going to be determined by how bad you want it. And I'm a firm believer that you can do it. You just got to want it bad enough. And then the second thing you're going to have to pay attention to and realize is you need to focus. Take some time and actually think about it. I had aspirations one time of being a gallery artist and attending shows, or trying to get shows, and then the receptions, and I did experience some of that. I had some good fortune, and what I soon determined was I didn't care for it. And another path that's real popular right now are plein air events. That has become a huge opportunity for artists. Eric Rhodes has really created something when he made it popular. And I've got other videos I'm going to do about plein air painting. I've got a number of them that I've already published on how I go about it. And within those videos, I discuss what I feel is what is plein air painting for me. So it can be different things for different folks. Another, yeah, so that's one of the venues is being a gallery artist or an easel artist, painting and having the galleries represent you is a worthwhile pursuit, but one there's just a lot of competition out there to get into the galleries. And the other thing to consider is that with the advent of the internet, artists aren't necessarily as dependent on gallery representation as they used to be. They advise that um, there's money that has to be spent in order to achieve any degree of success, whatever your definition of success is. If you go, let's just go down the list. So let's say you want to do shows. You're going to have to not only pay for the art supplies and the framing, but you got to get your art to the venue, whether you deliver it or ship it. Will determine kind of where it's going. Some of the shows have specific requirements for framing, how you're going to frame your work, the level of show, the stricter their requirements are going to be. I think the last time I applied for the National Watercolor Society, they had some framing requirements that need to be met. But regardless, all of this requires money, and if you want to work a bit of a job, it doesn't have to be a career position, just something that you can make some money at to finance your art career, your art habit, your finance the path. It'll be very important to, depending on your level, the level of success that you're interested in. If you're interested in just painting some kind of pretty pictures for the family and friends and your own self-satisfaction, then that's going to be a whole lot simpler than if you're going to try to gain national recognition. But the goal, I shouldn't say the goal, the common thread to any level of success in whatever form that success takes for you, you get to become the best you can. And if you're taking pride in your work and what you want to do, even if it's just for yourself, be the consummate student. I have found if you're going to go with galleries, there's a misconception among artists that becoming a gallery artist, getting into a gallery, having a gallery represent your work, is the ultimate. If you're going to do that, if you can get gallery representation, you have arrived. Unfortunately, there are buyers out there, collectors out there, who don't feel you are worthy as an artist enough to spend their money on it unless you're being represented by a gallery. And that's a real shame. To some people who, one of the first things they ask is, what galleries are you in? That's their qualifying question. Depending on what your answer is, it's a shame. art, the marketing, the selling of art is really like nothing else. And we get into pricing of your work, and I can do a video on that also. From my perspective, I've done a little bit. I've chased a little bit of it all, and I've done a little bit of it all. I've been successful at a little bit of it all. I looked at what are my opportunities here, and as I said, getting into galleries it's not hard. Let me state this: it's not hard to get into a gallery if that's your goal. If that is your definition of success, getting into a gallery. What's hard to do is finding a gallery that is excited about your work and doesn't just want to fill spaces on the wall and is actually going to promote you and sell your work. That's what I was interested in. That's harder done said. I mean, it's not as accomplished as easily. The path as an artist. What I'm getting down to is what I found that worked best for me was to represent myself. And if you're going to do that, there's numerous ways that can be done, especially with the advent of the internet. But it's almost critical in today's society, day and age, that you have a website. Artists often feel that having a website, they ask me, I'm often asked, have you ever sold a painting off your website? And I can honestly say that, yeah, I have. What I use my website for, or the value of it to me is it's an online portfolio. It's a place where people who are interested in my work can go and see what it is I do. That brings up a whole nother topic is do you price your paintings on your website? I do. I'm interested in selling them. All of this takes a lot of work. It takes hard work. You have to be consistent. You have to be persistent. And the frame shop that I had provided me with some opportunities of income that I could apply to my art career, as well as gave me a place to sell some paintings. And so that was nice. But this all takes a lot of work, and it's not easy, but very doable, very doable. The path to being a successful artist is real simple. It's just not very easy. To me, if you're real serious about it, the best thing to do is find a space, a commercial space, in which you can paint and display your work, open to the public. And what I have found, what has worked for me, when people want to know, how did you do it? Well, what has worked for me, to the degree that it has, is I have my own gallery space, little studio space in Uray, Colorado, a tourist town. And ideally, if you can find a space that is near a restaurant, next door to a restaurant, that would help. You want to be around people or near people. You want to make yourself easily accessible to people who have the means to buy your work. And whether that's opening a brick and mortar gallery and studio, or the shows you attend, the I don't want to say the stature of the show, but yeah, well, I guess that's what it is going to be important. It's attracting buyers. The right kind of buyers. Buyers have some money. And they're out there. And our job, our mission is to find them. Fortunately, with the internet, we can expose ourselves, if you will, to those markets. And but again, like I said, it takes some effort, takes some work, consistency on a regular basis. YouTube, what I'm doing right here, has turned out to be a very viable option for a number of people, a number of artists. But you might feel, well, I'm just not really cut out for that. That's fine, it's not the only one. But for those that are, it can work really good. And there's all kinds of videos out there on how to make a YouTube channel work for you. I'm not going to get into that. All I'm saying is that there's a lot of ways you can be a successful artist, become a successful artist. And the whole idea is very reasonable. Maybe not as easy, as common as getting a job. What's the fun in that? I had a job once and it didn't work out real well. I've realized I'm better suited to work for myself. And I mean, I've got a talent, so it's just part of it. Just plain and simple takes a lot of work. You have to. There's nothing that can replace the want to. And what I have found for myself is that the want to provide for myself is strong enough that I continue to pursue it. You have to be willing to put in what it takes. And again, the question of, well, what does it take? That's part of why you're listening to this video, watching this video. But also there's a whole host of other artists out there that are telling you their story. Seek out the podcasts. Podcasts are a great opportunity to learn what the path of success was for a given artist. Who are the artists that you admire? Chances are they're either doing something like I am, or they've been on a podcast that'll tell you what their path was, and whether it was successful or not is up to you to determine that. And in my case, what I had initially felt I wanted to pursue turned out to be something I didn't want to do. The gallery shows is what I'm getting at. And I still do one on occasion, but I did not want to be dependent on them. I just had no control over what was taking place, what was happening in the show. And it was expensive. I mean, I had to give up 50% of what I had made. And I had to do all the selling. I had to do all the work. So I found it just wasn't, I couldn't make the numbers add up. And there's, the whole idea of being able to stay home at your studio and just paint, I think is fantastic. that would be great. But the number of people who are able to do that and actually make a living off of their work, a primary living, are few and far between. I've known some of them, and they have worked hard. Some of them got some good breaks early on that helped establish them. Yeah, I made a list the other day. Somebody asked me one time, why do you paint? It was primarily, I enjoy the lifestyle, I enjoy the creativity, and freedom of what? Freedom of being an artist? The freedom that the lifestyle affords, the travel opportunities. If, I have to produce paintings if I'm going to sell them and make some money, but the rate at how I produce them is determined by me. If I get up in the morning and I don't feel particularly motivated or inspired, or I can let it slide. Not for a long time, but the season in Uray right now as we speak is rapidly approaching. This is what is this? Oh, the day before Easter. So in another 6 weeks, it'll start happening up there, and then by 4th of July, it'll be pretty intense up there, and that's where I make the money. Well, enjoy what I'm doing with this painting. I guess I don't know what else I can tell you. If you have questions, something specific that you'd like me to address, put it in the comments. I've enjoyed what I've done. Still do enjoy it, and I've made some people happy that own my work. So that's kind of neat. And if you have other topics you'd like me to cover, let me know that too. So let's talk about this painting that I'm doing. It's the road, like I said, this is Mount Abram. Uray, the town of Uray, sits back around these ridges back in the valley floor below Mount Abram. And there's some old structures, old buildings along the way. I'm not being real literal to the photograph. The important part to me was there's a few buildings along here. There was these winter grays and the light on Mount Abram back here. That to me is what was important in this painting. On the topic of making a living as an artist, you've got to realize that nobody can sell your work better than you can. You're going to think that's not true. You're going to think that, well, somebody knows how to sell art can do a better job than I do. But people who are going to buy your artwork, what means a lot to them is to meet the artist. Because when you're selling a painting, you're selling a part of yourself. Let's face it. I don't care if you're knocking them out on a regular basis. Every time, that's a piece of yourself. You put a lot of work into it, a lot of effort, and what do I want to say? A lot of effort in learning your craft, your skill, and applying yourself. So realizing and understanding that some of these paintings are more personal to yourself, but to the buyer, most buyers are real interested in the idea of meeting and getting to know something about the artist. So consequently, if you have a place that you can sell your work yourself, that's going to give you an advantage. And don't forget, this is painted from a photograph, so I have to make those allowances. That's the importance of plein air painting. If you're standing out there on location, then these colors take on a whole different. They present a whole different opportunity. Now you can see in the photograph, I'll post it. The back here is another bit of this sunlight. And I'm of the opinion that if I put that in there, that's going to distract from here. So I'm leaving it out. Practice, practice, practice. You want to get good at your painting? You got to put lots of miles on your brushes. And what that means is you got to paint a lot. Much more than you think. You never stop. See, this is all good exercise, very good exercise in values. This is lighter, it gets darker as it comes to warms and cools. Lots of neat things going on here. And there's little specks of orange that are popping through that were from the base painting, toning of the canvas. That's kind of cool. I think part of what I'm trying to accomplish also is I'm trying to get better at what I'm doing. To me, that's the ultimate goal. If the painting sells along the way, then that's great. But what I'm really interested in is trying to get better. And sometimes people say, well, you paint the same thing over and over. Well, to a degree I do. But I'm still trying to get it right. And when is it done? That's the age-old question. When is the painting finished? Well, to me, it's finished. Well, I'm not sure what else I could do. And often the case is you're better off not adding anything else. You get to a certain point. Experience is going to tell you. Once you make the choice, and maybe you just want to test the waters, that's fine. But you gotta have some good paintings. You gotta, before you ever test the waters, before you get out there, you gotta spend a lot of time making art. And do not, under any circumstances, listen to what your friends and family tell you. They don't know, unless they're successful artists, unless they're successful in the discipline that you want to be successful in. But if they're not in a position to give you the advice that you need. All right, my friends. I hope this was beneficial, useful for you. And do come back. Well, I guess that'll do for now. Again, leave me a comment. Tell me what you'd like to see. Or if you have questions about what this was about, well, should I be doing this? Or how do I go about that? Or can I consider this? Or, I'll tell you what I think about it. I don't want to give you definitive answers that say this is what you got to do. The only thing I can say in that regard is you got to paint a lot, and you've got to want it. That's all it comes down to. It's real simple. It's not real easy, though.